Shalom and good morning, everyone. I want you to take some time and meditate on this picture here. I got a couple pictures to show y'all, okay? And think about, well, I haven't shown you the subtitle to this video yet, but it's going to deal with the door, the left, tall, the cross, the mark, the sign, the covenant, the end, 400, that was tall represent, and the navel, which is what? The center, the heart. Okay. Let me share this link. So you can see in the core in this lesson that we have today is going to be centered around John 10 and 9. John 10 and 9. So while I'm sending this link out, let me first say I give all honors to our Father in heaven, y'all, for He is truly speaking. I mean, He is showing us what? His signs and His wonders. He is showing us the mysteries that is in His word. I mean, He is speaking great volumes unto us. And it is sad unto us. It's saddened us that many do not see this. And it goes back to the Messiah instructions. He said for us to watch and pray, but many are not watching and praying. They honestly believe that things will go back to being the same, despite of the signs that's occurring all around us. Sad, but so true. Okay, let me send out. Almost done, y'all. Send out this link. It's got two others to send it out to. And then we can start. Also like to give honors to his son, which is Yahusha HaMashiach, for he is what? The left, the door of the sheep. And he is the iron. And the iron represent that he is the fountain of the living waters. And he is the eye slash light of the body. He is the second Adam. And the second Adam is what? The example of what we shall become, O bride of the Messiah, into the 144,000. Okay. He set the example of what? The regeneration, restoring you back to what the Creator made you to be in the beginning. That was, that is, that will be. Do you see how these things connect together? I also like to give our respects unto our mother, wisdom. Yes, we have a mother in heaven, just like we got an earthly mother in the earth. Where do you think the idea of the Father creating a father and a mother in the earth? Where y'all think that came from? The Godhead. Okay. So the Messiah says this about wisdom. He said that wisdom shall be justified by her children. Wisdom shall be justified by her children. Meaning that she's not made in vain, y'all. She has a divine purpose. She was created by the Father. And her purpose is to bring forth or to birth the children of the light. Something to think about, y'all. Even David understood about her. Solomon understood about her. And in the Apocrypha, It reveals great mysteries of her, and even the Messiah speaks of her. It's there, but you got to go through the gospel and allow the Spirit to reveal it unto you. Okay? Oh, it's there. Again, he that has an ear, hear what the Spirit says. All right. Now let us begin. So in this picture you see here, it says, Yahusha said, I am the door. I want y'all to think about that because we're going back to that diagram that I show y'all of the greatest mystery of dealing with the altar of the burnt offering. He's saying, well, I am the door. Whoever enters to me shall be saved. He will come in and go out and find pastures. You need to meditate on that verse. He's saying something deep here. Unto you, bride of the Messiah, and to the 144. He's speaking something very deep here, something spiritual, but we'll come back to this. The next picture, okay, I'll show you this one already, but this door is the same door that's dealing with the Passover, and we'll talk about that, how it relates to what you see that was done in the Passover. Goes deep, y'all. And the last picture is showing you the Hebrew letter Tal. And if you notice that it's around, it's above a door, and you see the blood being smeared around the door post in a Hebrew letter. Okay, that's something to think about. All right. Before we get into the word, let me share this with you because I may be sharing some copyright materials with you for educational purposes only. So the title of this word today, y'all, is Part 5, the altar, John 10 and 9. Abomination of desolation and daily sacrifice. What was is now the mystery. And to clarify the title, the what was is now is pertaining to that daily sacrifice. Because as y'all been studying along with me, the word is revealing the mystery of the daily sacrifice, how it pertains to the bride and to the 144, as well as the nation of Israel. Okay. But it also tied into the mystery of the altar of the burnt offerings. Okay. And we learned what that mystery was of the altar yesterday in part 4. So if you have not seen part 4, you definitely want to watch that. Because now we're going to see how the perfected square, because you know the altar was in the shape of a square, how the perfected square is going to bring in this mystery of John chapter 10, verse 9. So we're going to talk about the door, which is the left, tall, which is the X known as the cross, and navel, the center/heart. Okay. This FYI, so I won't forget, I did update the notes on the things that I told you I will post. So what I read to you yesterday, part 4, it came from the YAHUAH Bible Dictionary. That way you can go back and reread this. But this is telling us something big. And unto my brothers and sisters who call themselves Christians, this is not to say that you are not a believer, but we got to look at the whole picture when it comes to Christianity. Christianity is not aligned with the Bible now. The things they are doing, the things they are partaking, goes in hand with the Roman Church. In order to understand what I'm saying, you're going to have to read the Bible. And the Bible I'm talking about is the 1611. That book is the original book of King James. You need to go back to the original to see what I'm talking about as a worldwide thing of Christianity. They are now leading the Most High people away from Him. And it aligned up to the prophecy in Deuteronomy chapter 28. For He told unto the children of Israel, you would serve what? Wood and stone. I want to tell you what the wood represent. The wood represent Christianity. And the stone represent Islam, the rock that they walk around. Something to think about, because you have not been taught the spiritual things. There was a time you was in, I'm talking about as a collective whole. I'm not talking about as an individual, but that individual who are awakened by the Spirit will understand what I'm saying. There was a time where Christians was walking in the Spirit, but now they are walking out of the Spirit. Talking about as a collective whole. I'm aware there are some Christians that's not like that, but we got to look at the whole picture. Because in the Bible dictionary, it is recognizing as as Jerusalem, the Jerusalem of the Amorites, as being the capital of these three major faiths that believe in one God. That's Judaism. They reject the Messiah. So they are the synagogue of Satan. Okay? They follow the Talmud. Christianity. They are, so much stuff is now happening. There's a Christian that has a video about a lawless society. I posted on my community page. Go and check it out. Because even now we see it in the Christian church, they have become lawless. Lawless. hmm Check his video out so you can understand what kind of time we are in. And they are more focused on the cross, right? The wood, and not understanding that the power is in the heart, the belly, the center of your body. The power is in the one who live in you, your spirit man. It has to be what? Awakened, has to be revived by who? By Yahusha HaMashiach. So while they are focused on the cross represent what? His death, his crucifixion. But it's more than just a cross. People forget about what? The resurrection. How he what? Conquered death. And then we see in them being covenant breakers, or what Paul is saying. Covenant breakers. You are partaking in things that are not pleasing to Yah when his prophets, okay, because they don't read the prophets' writings, when his prophets tell you what you're going to keep in the kingdom to come. It's very simple. But many do not understand the gospel, because you got to walk in the spirit to understand the gospel, what the Messiah is saying. Because he said, what? Do these things in remembrance of me. That's a mystery in that. What was shown in the physical of Torah is now shown in the spiritual, in the renewed covenant, in the New Testament. So we still keep Passover. He gave you the instruction on how to keep it, but many missed it. Something to think about. This is why many are fearing the Hebraic movement. Many are fearing the Israelite movement. Many are fearing, like people like me who read the Bible. And I address myself as a Messianic Nazarene. Shalom, shalom to those who just came on. Okay? Many don't understand why I call myself a Messianic Nazarene. And that's in the Bible. Even the Messiah was called what? A Nazarene. And that's a deep spiritual master behind that. Even Paul was labeled as the ringleader of the Nazarenes. Even in the Hebraic language, we do not have a word for Christian, but the word that we have to let you know that we are a follower of the Messiah, who's the Son of God, who's the second Adam. And that Hebrew word or words are Mashiachim Nazarene. But when I say that, I can tell people fear that because they don't understand it. But it's in the book. It's in the Bible. And it's in our language. Mashiachim Nazarene. That's what we are called. And when you translate it into the English language today, it is Messianic Nazarene. But when I say that, it may seem foreign to some Christians. Why? Because your leaders, your teachers have not been showing you the whole book. They've been keeping you in a certain part of the book. And the only thing that's going to awaken you now, you're going to have to read that book for yourself. That's what awakened me, y'all. On the channel is my testimony. See how the Father awakened me. It was different. I was awakened in a different way before I knew I was an Israelite. All right. And the third faith is Islam. I read the Quran. And in the Quran, it said that the children of Israel are the people of the book. And they talk about the infidels, those who are what? Covenant breakers. And in the same book, the Quran said that the Messiah is just a prophet unto them. They don't recognize him as being the Son of God. So what this Bible dictionary is pointing out to us, we need to pay very close attention. We got three major world religions that are leading many people astray from the Most High Yah. I want to share one more thing with y'all. For those who say that Christianity is not partaking in pagan customs, well, let me tell you something. I grew up in it. I'm an eyewitness of it. I can remember when they kept Easter, they kept it on a Sunday, right? But according to the Bible, we are to keep his resurrection according to the date on his calendar, which is what made up of the sun, the moon, and Mazzaroth. And that date when he arose was a V16. And a V16 is the same date where we had the manna to cease in the days of Joshua, okay, to represent that he returned to heaven to sit on the right hand side of his father, because he had to present his offering or his work unto the Father, which is what he had to set the captives free from Sheol, which was what the saints. Then we have on the same day, we have the offering of the sheepway, offering of the first fruits of the body harvest. Again, representing that the Messiah would be what? The first fruits, or the first one of the resurrection. But when you look at the Christians, they're keeping his day, or they keep a memorial of the day of his resurrection on a Roman calendar known as Sunday. That's not Bible. That's not biblical. Do y'all see where I'm going with this? Even with Passover now, which is now become unto them communion, they don't even recognize the official date when it started, which was a V14. And what did the Messiah say? Do this in remembrance of me. So they even keeping his holy days on a wrong calendar. Also, what I remember as a young girl in Christianity, on Monday morning, following after that Sunday of Easter, quote unquote, they had us going out doing an Easter egg hunt. That is not biblical. Has nothing to do with the Most High. That is idolatry. But they don't want to call it out for what it is. They want to make excuses for it. Same thing with Christmas. We ain't not supposed to have a Christmas tree. If they want to talk about his birth, it has been proven that he was born in the fall, in the month of what we call Tishri, known as Ethanim, the 7th month. For he represent what? The first and the last, the first and the last, the Alpha and Omega, the Aleph and the Tau. Just like what? The Father is the first and last. And when you study the calendar, you understand that in the 7th month of the sun, that's when the sun begins and ends its circuit. This is why he came during that time, to let you know he's the first of what? Everything. He set the example of being the first. And he's going to end it too when he come back. But they don't know these sacred things because they've been indoctrinated by Christianity. So, unto my brothers and sisters who call themselves Christians, I'm not saying you're not a believer, but I want you to take a look at Christianity in the direction that it's going. That's what I'm saying to you. They are idolaters. They are covenant breakers, as Paul say in Romans chapter 1. And they do not follow the ways of the Most High Yah. And even the prophets would testify against them because the prophets, all these prophets we have read about, are telling you what we're going to keep in the kingdom to come. But they don't want to hear that. They want to remain where they're at. They don't want to come up higher. Something to think about. All right. Now let us begin. Let me see if I'm going to go at. Let me go back to the picture. So as we have learned, yes, we look at this is the earth, right? And the earth closed in what we call the first firmament, which is the first heaven. And that firmament is in the shape of a circle known as a sphere. Okay. So within the sphere or within the circle, we have the earth. And when we use geometry, okay, looking at this Hebrew letter, we have the tall in the form of a T, and we have it in the form of an X. And you can find it in the Picto Hebrew right here. So I want to show this to you. This is Picto Hebrew, this letter right here, okay? And you can find it in Paleo Hebrew, which is right here, 400, okay? So just as the earth has what we call a center or a navel, which is what Jerusalem, that's what we learn. We also learn what ties into that center. We go back to the picture. What ties to that center is in that area, heaven is connected to it, and Sheol is connected to it, because we know Sheol is in the center of the earth, and we know about what we call the doors and the portals to these different realms. There are doors and portals to it. This should also remind you of your what? Of your core and your center. We also have what? A navel, right? Think about um how you was made in the womb and how the umbilical cord was attached to the navel. So that is your center, that is the midst of your body. And through reading the whole Bible, the book, you will learn that that's where the heart is. That's where the spirit is. That's where your soul is. Okay. And for those who have the gifts of the speaking of tongues, I don't know if you have the same testimony as I do, but I felt the spirit come from my bowels, from my stomach or belly, going all the way up to my esophagus, which is my throat, to my tongue. And y'all, I had no control of my tongue. Okay. Very important to know this. So it's just as the earth is lined with tall, right? To give us what? The center. The same thing with us when you think about the human body. The center is what? The belly. Go back and read Genesis chapter 2 and the Apocrypha, I believe it's in 2nd Ezra chapter 16, and look at how Adam was created and look at what the Father called what was the midst of the body, and look at what he put in the midst of his body. Okay. So as we learned yesterday that this diagram that I have here is a representation of the altar, and we know the altar is a representation of Yahusha HaMashiach. So now that we know that when we look at this core, this center right here, we know that Yahusha is the what? The center of this, because he is the door to these different realms, as well as he's the door. What else I'm thinking? As well as he's the door of the sheep. So first I want to read a couple of scriptures to you, and then we'll come back to this diagram to elaborate even more. As I was listening to the word, this particular chapter stood out, and it relates to what we was talking about yesterday. Psalm chapter 96. Okay. Let me click on this part right here. I want to make sure that you are aware of Psalm 96, for it relates to Yahusha HaMashiach when we are comparing him to King David, because King David was the physical foreshadowing of Yahusha HaMashiach. Okay, I'm gonna say this again. King David was the physical foreshadowing of Yahusha HaMashiach. Okay, and this is dealing with how Yahushua would be in the kingdom to come, how he's going to reign, y'all. Psalm 96, an exhortation to praise Yahuwah for his greatness, for his kingdom, for his general judgment. Oh, sing unto Yahuwah a new song. Sing unto Adonai all the earth. Sing unto Yahuwah, bless his name. Show forth his salutations from day to day. Declare his glory among the heathen. Do y'all hear that? Declare his glory among the heathen. Heathens are people who give no regard to the sacred things of Yah. They trample upon it just as a swine trample upon pearls. Okay. They mark the things of Yah that comes from heaven above. Okay. That's a heathen. His wonders among all people. Okay. So this is what we are to declare unto the heathens. His wonders among all people. For Adonai is great and greatly to be praised. He is to be feared above all gods. Do y'all hear that? Even the Messiah would tell you this. We know that he is what? A God too, right? Just like we are what? Sons of gods, or we are called gods, right? But even the living word would tell you to fear our Father in heaven, for he is above all gods. Father is telling me to tell you to read Luke chapter 4 and Matthew chapter 4, because when Satan was speaking to the Messiah told him we are to only to worship Yahuwah. This is why he called the Most High. He's above all. He's even above the living word. Verse 5. For all the gods of the nations are idols, but Adonai made the heavens. See, that's the difference. They can't do what he do. Okay. Honor and majesty are before him. Strength and beauty are in his sanctuary. Give unto Yahuwah, O ye kindreds of the people. Give unto Adonai glory and strength. Give unto Adonai the glory due unto his name. Bring an offering and come into his courts. O worship Adonai in the beauty of holiness. Fear before him all the earth. You want to underline that verse. How are you going to worship him in the beauty of holiness? Here's the mystery. First Peter chapter 5, verse 4. You shall receive your crown of glory that shall never fade away. That glory that shall clothe you, just as it clothed Adam and Eve before the fall. That same glory that clothed Noah. That same glory that clothed Moses. And that same glory that clothed Yahusha HaMashiach. And that glory is called the beauty of holiness. It is the spirit of wisdom. And it's going to be the same glory that clothed the new Yahushua that would come from heaven above. To understand that mystery about this beauty of holiness, you're going to have to look at the precepts in the Son of Sirach writings. I think it's chapter 1 and chapter 24. You also have to read the writings of the wisdom of Solomon. I believe it starts somewhere between chapter 5 to chapter 8, somewhere in there. But my mind is saying it's chapter 7. And then you begin to understand what David wrote in the book of Songs and the book of Proverbs. Okay? Read the book of Songs and you'll see the connection and why she is called the beauty of holiness. It is the same glory that we see in the face of heaven. Now, those who study the calendar, y'all, the face of heaven. Let me go over here back to the diagram. Y'all, this part over here in the east is when we first see the light that rise. That is the glory. That is what? The beauty of holiness. So we have a physical representation in the heavens to understand the spiritual, okay? And that physical representation that we see, that first light that rises, which is glory, which is beauty, is to give you understanding who she is in the heavenly realm. Okay? Let me see if I got a precept to that verse. Okay? So to understand what is the beauty of holiness, is set in the glorious sanctuary. Again, are we not? Do we not have the sanctuary within us in the midst of the body? So when he abide in us, they can abide in us. The Father, the Son, and the Ruach. Like I said, there's a light in us. To have spiritual eyes can see the light. Verse 10. Say among the heathen, do y'all hear that? We're going to say this among the heathen, that Adonai reigneth. The world shall be established, that it shall not be moved. He shall judge the people righteously. Do y'all hear that? Do y'all hear that? Let's keep reading. Let the heavens rejoice, and let the earth be glad. Let the sea roar, and the fullness thereof. Let the field be joyful, and all that is therein. Then shall all the trees of the wood rejoice before Adonai. For he cometh, for he cometh to judge the earth. Do y'all hear that? He cometh to judge the earth. And notice how he's going to judge. He shall judge the world with righteousness and the people with truth. So he's going to judge the world with righteousness, and he's going to judge the people with what? Truth. For he is what? Spirit and truth. Mysteries that I speak unto you. The scriptures that gonna confirm what I'm saying unto you can be found in John chapter 4. John chapter 5. We're gonna go there after we read these other scriptures. Okay. So we just read Psalms 96. Psalms 139. That no, the Father is there. You can go to you can hide in hell. He's there. You can hide in the earth. Anywhere in the earth, he is there. And you can hide in the heavens. He is there. So here's the scriptures to confirm that. It's in Psalms 139. For it says in the chapter summary, the YAHUAH, David, praises YAHUAH for all seeing providence. For his infinite mercies, he defieth the wicked. He prayeth for sincerity. Here go in verse 7. This is still a whole good chapter to read in your spare time. For it says, whither shall I go from thy spirit? Do y'all hear that? Where can I go from your spirit? Where can I escape from your spirit? Or whither shall I fly from thy spirit? In other words, where can I fly away from your spirit? Verse 8. If I ascend up into heaven, thou art there. If I make my bed in hell, behold, look, thou art there. If I take the wings of the morning and dwell in the utmost parts of the sea, even there shall thy hand lead me, and thy right hand shall hold me. Do y'all hear that? Do y'all hear that? David speaking something deep here. There's no escaping of his spirit. Okay. But then he go on to say this. I'm going to read this last line. He said, if I say, surely the darkness shall cover me, even the night shall be a light about me. Because why? His spirit's there with you, leading you and guiding you. Do y'all hear that? It relates to Psalms chapter 23. Even through the valley of the shadow of death, he will lead and guide you through that. Mm, mm, mm. His right hand. And who is that right hand? The living word. Who is a lamp unto your feet? So this is why he said, even the night shall be a light about me. Mm. We read verse 12. Yes, yea, the darkness hideth not from thee, but the night shineth as the day. The darkness and the light are both alike to thee. Do y'all hear that? Deep, right? Let me show you the side notes for that. Here go the side notes for that chapter. Another way they would say in the Hebrew, darken not, as is the darkness, so is the light. So that's another way you can read that verse. So we read verse 7 through 12. 7 through 12. Now Psalm 23, y'all can read in your spare time on that one. Most are familiar with that. But we're going to look at John chapter 5, and then we go back to John chapter 10. So in John chapter 5, we are going to read verse 21 through 31. Okay? As I'm going there, when we eat some fruit, y'all, haven't y'all noticed that the seed is in the midst of the body of the fruit? It's in the center of the fruit, right? Or in the core of the fruit. And when the Father had me to meditate, I said, yeah, it sure is to represent how the living word, which is a seed, as written in First John chapter 3, is going to be in what? In the midst of your body. So that's another confirmation. Do you see we have many physical examples in the earth to understand the living word, to understand these spiritual things? Just as a woman carried a child in her womb, what is in the seed, right? She carried that seed. And as the child grow, what her belly protrude out. Okay. Giving you a physical example where the living word that where the living word dwell in. He dwells in your bowels. He dwells in your belly. Right? Oh, I need to change this to John. We go on to chapter 10. For the chapter summary says this: Messiah is the door and the good shepherd. Divers opinion of him. He proveth by his works that he is Messiah, the Son of God, escapeth the Jews, and went again beyond Jordan, where many believe on him. Now there is a particular verse I do need to. Oh, I went to John 10 too early. I meant to go John 5, y'all. Sorry about that. John 5. I'm at the 10. Okay, on 5, chapter summary says, Yahusha on the Sabbath day cured him that was diseased 8 and 30 years. The Jews therefore cavilled and persecuted him for it. He answered for himself and reproved them, showing by the testimony of his father, of John, of his works, and of the scriptures, who he is. So we'll go down to verse 21. So this is connected to Psalms 96, how he's going to reign with, how he's going to judge with righteousness and with truth. Let me go up high. We're going to make it 20. For the Father loveth the Son, and showeth him all things that himself do. So this is one of the verses that can prove to you that the Father is a separate, well, is a spiritual entity, and the Son is a spiritual entity. They are separate, but they are spiritually connected. And this is this is why people are having a hard time. Some reason they're having a hard time because of Christianity. But this verses show you that the Father is in heaven and the Son is in the earth. It also showing you that when he was in the heaven with the Father, that the Father was teaching him things, showing him things. Okay. Again, it's to help give you some understanding. If you're not understanding what I'm saying about how they are separate spiritual entities, but yet they are spiritually connected, you have to look at the earthly example that our Father gave in Genesis chapter 2. It said that when man and wife come together, the two become one flesh. That we know physically their bodies don't join together. But what it's saying is that they become one flesh because they are joined by the same spirit. Because they are joined by the same spirit, they now have the same mindset, and to the point where the husband as well as the wife can know what each one is thinking. So they work together as one unit. They don't go against each other. Okay. And he will show him greater works than these, that ye may marvel. Y'all hear that? So the Father is even going to show him greater works. For as the Father raises up the dead and quickeneth them, even so the Son quickeneth whom he will. So this is one of the gifts or powers that our Father in heaven has given unto Yahusha HaMashiach, the second Adam, who is the living word clothed in flesh. So this is one of the signs that we know Satan and the anti-Messiah will not have the ability to do. However, by the forewarning of people, we also know that he's going to um, imitate or have people fooled that he can do this great power of bringing the dead back to life, but he's not going to have that at all. So you really going to have to know who the Messiah is and stay close in the scriptures, because by you not being able to read the scriptures, hold on y'all, I got to do something right quick. Okay, I'm back. So by you not be able to read the scriptures, y'all, that fan making a lot of noise. Hold on. All right, that's better. Oh, by you reading the scriptures, you would know how he would come back into the earth. He's going to come on a cloud with the hosts of heaven behind him. So if I were y'all, I would stay close to the scriptures, because this false one that is coming is going to have some of the same powers and the ability like the Messiah. So he's going to fool a lot of people. So this is why it's so close to staying this living word and really know the difference between him and this wicked one that's to come, the false one. All right. Verse 22. For the Father judges no man, but have committed all judgment unto the Son. You want to highlight that. This is what I was telling y'all about, how the Son is going to prepare the way for the Father to come. Just like John the Baptist prepared the way for him to come to preach the gospel. Now, when he comes back in his millennial reign of 1,000 years, and with the 144, okay, and the bride as well, he's going to prepare the way for the Father to come. He's going to judge the earth. Remember those scriptures I read unto the Israelites and why they need to know who they are? Where he's going to judge the Israelites as being an Israelite. Whether you know where or not. This is what people are not understanding. Okay. It's in the gospel and it comes from his mouth. So this is a verse you want to highlight. The Father has given him the authority to judge the earth. Now you begin to see with the diagram what this diagram is saying unto us. Let me go back to it. That he is the left, he is the navel, he is the center point. Okay? He is connected to the Father and the Ruach. And he has the ability to cast you into what? Hell, into the pit. Go back and read Revelations. He has the authority to allow you to be in the Holy Land. And he has the authority to allow you to go in and out the heavenly realm. As like I said, it's another mystery on that, but we're going to get onto that too. So you now begin to see why he is the door. And the physical representation that he gave unto us is through the prophet Enoch, when he talked about the lights, the luminaries, and how they enter into the first heaven, the first firmament. They enter into the doors. For there are 6 doors in the east, and there's 6 doors in the west, and to the left and right of them, there are many windows. See, he gave us a physical example to understand what abilities we would have when we are restored back as Adam, which is what the Son of God. And he gave us the image of what we would be in Revelation 1, as well as the book of Matthew. Okay, let me plug this back up. Okay, I got plenty in John. I have to plug it back up. But do y'all see this? Here's the core. Here's the door. No one can get into the Father but through him. Okay, he's the navel. That's why he dwelt in what? In the midst of your body. Everything come together, right? Just like Jerusalem is the center of the earth, right? It's the center in the earth, and that's where the what? Our Father present is, where his spirit is, right? Okay. Let's go back and read. Let's see. Verse 23. That all men shall honor the Son. Honor means what? We're gonna give our respect unto him as being what? The King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. Giving our respect unto him being the second Adam. He's the main chief in charge. Because remember, the first Adam was created to what? To reign and to have dominion over the earth. For he was made in the image of them, the Godhead, and because he was made in their image, he would do as they do. And because he can do as they do, he was given what all powers and authority to judge, to reign, to rule, to be a chief, to be a king. Do y'all see this? But because he failed, he gave dominion over to Satan. So this world that we is in darkness now. But that's one to come is going to put this world back into the light, spiritual and physical. Okay. So we should give honor to him. All men will give honor to him, even as they honor the Father. Okay. He that honoreth not the Son, honoreth not the Father which has sent him. Why? Because he come in his Father's name. Everything the Father asked him to do, he tell us about it. And he'll tell you quick in the scriptures, I'm not here to do my will. I'm here to do my Father's will. I'm here to do his business. That's why we give honor to him. Okay. Verily, verily, I say unto you, He that heareth my word and believeth on him that sent me. Do y'all hear that? We have to hear the word and believe on Yahuwah that sent him. And when we do that, have everlasting life and shall not come into condemnation, but is passed from death unto life. So we're gonna transition out of this body, because this body is what? Corruptible. This body is what? Mortal. And we're going to what? Translate. Okay, or we're going to change in that twinkling of light. I mean, change in the twinkling of change in the twinkling of an eye. And when we change, we're going to change to be what? Eternal beings, which is what? Adam. Okay. Verse 25. Verily, verily, I say unto you, the hour is coming, and now is, when the dead shall hear the voice of the Son of Yahuwah, and they that hear shall live. Do y'all hear that? That's the first resurrection. Revelation 20. They're going to reign with him. We're going to have crowns upon our head and palms in our hands. Okay. For as the Father have life in himself. Do y'all hear that? For as the Father have life in himself, so have he given to the Son to have life in himself. He does as his Father does, right? He said, if you see me, you have seen the Father, because they both do what? The same. The same. Verse 27, and have given him authority to execute judgment. You want to underline this verse, y'all? The Father has given him authority to execute judgment also, because he is the son of Adam. So he is the flesh and blood. He is the what? The prosperity, the seed of Adam. Do y'all see how this all connected? Not only spiritually, because he come from heaven above, obeyed by the Father, and was given all powers and authorities in heaven and earth, but also physically, for he is the blood descendant of Adam. He is royalty. Do y'all see this? Okay. Marvel not at this, for the hour is coming in which all that are in the grave shall hear his voice, and shall come forth. They that have done good. Do y'all hear that? This is the criteria of the first resurrection. Listen to what the scripture is telling us. And shall come forth. They that have done good unto the resurrection of life, and they that have done evil unto the resurrection of damnation. That's what's going to determine whether you get in it or not. Something to think about. Verse 30. I can of my own self do nothing. As I hear. Now, this is what the Messiah said. He's not doing this by his hand. All his power come from the Father. Okay? I can of my own self do nothing. As I hear, I judge. And my judgment is just, because I seek not my own will, but the will of the Father, which hath sent me. Underline that. Because people need to understand the difference between the Father and the Son. And he's telling you the difference between them two. He said, these things that I do is not of my will, but is of my own Father will. The way he would judge a matter is the same thing, or the same way the Father would judge it. It's just like a family. And you know how children can be when they want something. What do? They first go ask the daddy, and the daddy said no, right? So what they think is, if they go to the mama, she would say yes. But what the children don't know, that the father and the mother are what? They are one. They're on the same team. They are what? Linked together. So they're not going to go against each other. So just as the father say, who is what? Who is the head? The mother going to say the same thing to the child. No. Hope y'all see this. Verse 31. If I bear witness of myself, my witness is not true. So what he's saying is, he's not coming in himself. He's not coming to establish his own platform. Okay? Because if he do the things that he want to do, then his testimony is not true, because it does not align up to the Father. Okay? But by him doing his Father will, and be about his Father business, his testimony will be true because it comes from the Father. Because whatever he does, the Father will do the same. Okay. Now we go to John chapter 10. John, we already read the chapter summary. We're going to look at verse 9. This is verse you want to focus on. And I'm going to copy this verse and put it in our notes over here. Then I'm going to put it at the last verse. You put it at the last because it's the end. Thank you, Father, the tall. Because I want you to understand what the box represents. The box is telling you about a door, and this door is perfected. That means it's upright with the Father. So the perfected square, which is what the altar. Put brass altar because you know why I'm doing that. It's going to lead into the mystery of understanding the door. And the tall within it, because we know that the box also means tall when we add up the four sides that we learned yesterday, which is what the end. Because do not the Messiah say, just as the Father, I am the first and the last. I am the beginning and the end. Okay. So he was the first to come unto us to show us what the second Adam is. He is the first of the regeneration. He is the first of the resurrection. So now when he come back, he's coming as the end of bringing this world to an end. So the world can come behind it. That's First Ezra chapter 6, verse 8 to 9. The end of Esau world and the beginning of Jacob world to follow. For he is what? A descendant of the supplanter, a descendant of Jacob who's called Israel. And now he's going to replace Satan's kingdom with his father's kingdom. So he is the superseder. So the end, which we know is represented by the number 400, because Zion affliction is real. We know it's represented by the T as well as the X. Okay. And like I said, it's second Ezra chapter 6, verse 8 through 9, and Hosea chapter 12. For he is what? A supplanter. He's going to take the place of the unrighteous one. Because he's also because he has the blood and flesh of Jacob. You see why he also has what? He's royalty. Okay, so it goes both ways. He's the son of the living most high. He was made in heavens, right? He was made above. But he also came into the earth in the flesh and blood of what? Adam, Jacob, and David. Go back and look at that lineage. That's why that lineage is listed in Matthew and Luke. So you can understand who he is. Okay. We've also put this in here. So he is of royalty. Royal. I don't think I spelled it right. Let me see. Okay. By spirit and blood. So I'm going to put this verse here. So we first start with the death. And then we tie in with Taw. As y'all see, this is a perfect example of what the Father has been saying unto us. He's talking through his Hebrew letters. He's talking through his Hebrew language. He's talking through geometry, the study of shapes. He's talking through mathematics. This is a lot to meditate on, but this is some good word. So when we look at this verse here, he's already identifying himself as the door. But here's something that we need to pay close attention to. He said, I am the door. By me, if any man enter in, he shall be saved. We're going to look at what it means to be saved. And shall go in and out and find pastors. So through this door, we have to enter in. That's Romans 8. Romans 8. No, Romans 10. It shows you how you enter into the door. What we have to what? Confess with our mouth and believe. Right? Go back to the instruction in Romans 10. And when you do that and partake in the water baptism, okay, that's what Mark 16 tells about the baptism, right? Remember, the Messiah shall what not only baptize us with water, but baptize us with spirit, with spirit along with fire. Okay. To mold, shape us, purify us, refine us till we become Adam, just like gold and silver. Okay. So you can see how this relates. Then in the verse it says, shall go in and out. This is something that we really need to meditate on. What does it mean that we shall go in and out? To go in and out, we have to look at the Hebrew letter Delef. And your Hebrew letters are listed in Psalms 119 in your Bible. Psalms 119. I'm just going to put in here Psalms 119 for Hebrew letters. Reason why Father had them put in the Bible for that. Remember, everything's a code. Okay. So let us first go to the Hebrew letter. So the left, you can see it represented by like a triangle. Okay. In the Picto Hebrew, you can see it represented like a kind of like a door. You see like a beam here and a little square to it. Oh my goodness. Do you see how it's got a square in it? Remind me of the altar already. Okay. But the definition it says here, see how it's represented by number 4. So we just read in John chapter 5 that he's going to what? Judge the earth. So we see that's represented by 4. And this again, it confirms that what? Judgment. Okay. Next thing we see in the definition in the English language is represented by D. And it says that the left represents what? A door, which we saw in the pictures over here. Okay, let's go back to these pictures. Because in this picture for Passover, you notice that the door or the doorpost had to have blood smell upon it. And we know that that blood didn't come from any animal. It had to be a lamb. And we know a lamb could be a sheep or a goat, but for this particular study today, we're going to look at it as a sheep. Because we know the Messiah is what? A shepherd, right? So what this is showing us, just as we had to smear the blood from a sheep across our doorposts to keep the destroyer from coming in and taking our life, right? In other words, this blood had to save our life. It's the same thing with the Messiah in the spiritual aspect. So when we enter the door, entering through the door is showing that we have received salvation. And that salvation that we have received is Yahusha HaMashiach. So he began to what? Dwell in your bowels. Okay. And while he's dwelling there, he is sealing you with the blood of the Lamb, which is what? Holy Spirit. Go back to 1 John and 5. Remember the 3 witnesses in the earth and the 3 witnesses in the heaven going to line up. So when he comes and live in your bowels, that's what he's doing. A spiritual work is taking place within. So this, like my ancestors had to be saved, what their life had to be saved from the destroyer. It's the same with us. When we receive him, we're going to be saved, okay, from all, how can I say this? Yeah, we're going to be saved from condemnation. We're going to be saved from not being cast into hell. We're going to be saved from not being cast into that lake of fire. We also going to be saved from the grand delusion that is about to come upon the whole world because they have rejected the truth, which is what? The living word, which is the Bible. But we know it's spirit. We know those words on the paper represent him. For he is the living word. He is what we see on paper. I hope you understand what I'm saying here. Okay? He's that walking Bible. He's a spirit. He is all those words. So he's going to seal us in his blood. Physical representation. That's why you had, when they pierced him on his side, not only water came out, but blood came out, letting you know what work going to take place in you. He's going to what? Sanctify you and cleanse you with the word, right? Wash you from the inside out. And then he's going to seal you in his blood with his spirit. And you're going to be saved from all these things that are about to take place upon the earth, and you're going to be able to enter into the kingdom of heaven. Okay? And that's Exodus chapter 12, and read that along with the gospel, and you will see what the physical aspect in Torah was telling you in this, what was the spiritual message in the gospel. Okay? So you also need to read with the blood. Okay, I'm putting here sealed in the blood of the Lamb. Read Exodus 12, Gospel, and also in Ephesians chapter 1. And also, Father said, like a good example for the Israelite, Revelation chapter 7. Notice that when he sealed them, it goes with Ezekiel 9 and 4. He's sealing them in the blood so they could be spared from these judgments. So to be sealed in the blood of the Lamb will save you from hell, lake of fire, and judgments. Okay? And to be sealed in his blood is to give you, what's the word? It's like a pass to enter into the kingdom of heaven. What's the word I'm looking for? Like a passport to enter into the kingdom of heaven. Okay? Let me see what's the next thing here. We go back to that Paleo Hebrew. Next is a path. The left represent what? A path, a way of life. So here to get understanding that, you can read John chapter 14. As on type of way of life, he's speaking unto me. Way of life is that he's going to what? Teach you how to live or apply the covenant, right? Which is what? All as commandments. Okay. Also, 4, this is coming to my mind now. Also, what represents Shavuot, Pentecost, right? Which is what? The fullness of Yah. That means you're going to receive the promised gift, which is the Holy Spirit. That's in the book of Acts. And that was the gift that we lost, that our Father gave unto us. That's what he restored. Again, Genesis 6 and 3. As far as the pathway of life, you can read John chapter 14. He tells you. And Psalms, when he say he is a lamp unto our feet. That's in Psalms 119, I believe. Let me look that up. I got my little cheat sheet here on that one. Let me see where I got it at in this Bible. I know it's Psalms 119. I believe it's 5. For some reason I'm thinking Psalms 119, 5. Okay. Look, I might not have it in my notes over here. So I'm going to have to go to 119. Let's see here. I know I got it highlighted in my Bible. Here you go. It's 105. 105 in Psalms 119. Okay. Thank you, Father. It says that thy word is a lamp unto my feet and a light unto my path. Another way of saying this, thy word is a candle. Candle, right? He's the light, right? Unto my feet and a light unto my path. And the book of John got several scriptures telling us that he is the light of our body. He is the light of the world, but many not understanding the spirit measures on that. So it's in 105. Okay. Now going back to this in and out thing. Let me see here. So when we look at moving into and out, this is where your knowledge or understanding that the Father give you dealing with the calendar will come in. Because when you understand the calendar as well as this mystery that I shared with you yesterday with the brass altar, then you understand what he means that you will be able to move in and out. But when we look at the steps, going back to the verse, let me go back to the verse. In order to be able to move in and out, right? You first what? Must enter through the door. So you have to receive him. And you have to what? go through the steps of salvation. And when you go through the step of salvation, a work is going to take place in you where you're going to be sealed in the blood of the Lamb. Okay? Because without that blood upon you, you can't enter through the door. Okay? You need a passport. Okay? Because when you read the book of John, chapter 10, he's reminding me, he said, notice how what I say unto you that a thief can't even enter. They can't go through the back way. There's only one way. There's no sideways and there's no back door. So even a thief cannot enter. Okay. And when you have done all them steps, you are saved. Okay. And then when you are saved, this is the fall that will happen. You will be able to go in and out and find pastors. First, we're going to look at what does it mean to be going in and out. So when those who have studied the calendar, what you're going to learn is that there are portals that man would say, but it's actually the correct word is door. There are doors for the sun and the moon and the stars to come in and out of. And with these doors, you will have to the left and right of them many windows, which explains why when we get to the south at the 180 degrees, which is noon, which explains why darkness could occur. For the Father calls the Son to exit out. It can happen. So just as these lights have these abilities to exit in and out in what? In the first heaven, where we can see them, right? Just as they have those abilities to do that, the same is with us. What's done in heaven is done in earth. But in order to do that, you have to be Adam again. You have to be fully restored. You have to be the Son of God. And when you have that ability, okay, then you can what? Go to pastors. What did it mean that you be able to go to pastor? What do that mean? Let's look that up. Let me go back to the notes and put down here. But in here in our notes, you'll be able to enter in and out other realms such as what? Sheol. If the Father need to send you there for a reason, whatever, you be able to enter in and out the earthly realm. And lastly, you may enter in and out the doors of heaven. And there's many levels of heaven. I'm gonna put like in and out realms. Let me just do it like that. We have what? The heavens, earth, and Sheol. How we do that? By doors. For example, you can be in the earthly realm and you can enter into the ninth level of heaven instantly. Remember those movies we would watch? I think it was Stargates. They would show you like the portal. And what people don't understand, those portals are really doors. Okay. Oh, sister brought out a good thing. Let me show you her comment to understand why the blood is so important. In Torah, Sister Huda has shared with us that Aaron had to sprinkle blood on the horns of the altar before he could enter into the Holy of Holies as well. So that blood you need it in order to what? to go in and out. And we know the horn is what? Yahusha HaMashiach. And the horn represent him, of him shedding his blood for you, for he is the Lamb. Thank you, sis. That is deep. Very deep. So let me highlight this out. Now these doors, as we can see, we look in heaven, they're not visible to our earthly eyes, but they're there. This is why he ordained Prophet Enoch to know sacred things and to write these things for us so we can have understanding how his lights and his heavens work and how they too are able to enter in and out through these dimensions or through these realms. But we can't do it because we are in a change state. We are in flesh. That's why we can't do it. But once we get our covering, which is the anointing, which is what? The spirit, we better have the same ability. Okay? Then we're going to look at pastors. So I decided to look at the Hebrew and the Greek because one thing I like about the 1611, you go to strong concordance, sometimes you can find the Hebrew word that was translated into the Greek to get a better understanding what it really means. So this may take a while to pull up. So first I went into actually I went into Greek first, y'all. That's what I actually did. I went to the Greek first. And keep in mind there are different Hebrew words for pastor depending on the context of that verse. So you really have to do your due diligence and search them all out. So I know one of the scriptures I looked at is Psalm 60. That's the one that would definitely give me what the meaning is when he says that we be able to move in and out and find pastors. Make sure I read this right. Yeah, and find pastors. So that's still refreshing. So let me go. I may have to just go back in. Okay. All right. Saying it can't be reached. Let me see. If not, I got my strong concordance here, y'all. Y'all know I'll keep back up because they're not gonna stop this truth from coming out. So in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach, I bind that what needs to be bound and I loose that what needs to be loose. For your truth, Father, will go through the four corners of the earth. For your people will gain the understanding of this word today. In the name of Yahushua HaMashiach, so be it. So I do have a strong concordance here, y'all. So I'm just going to read unto y'all what is H499. H499. Anyway, I'm trying to get to it. Oh, now it want to pop up. Okay. So H499 is not off. I don't, y'all. I ain't gonna say it. I'm gonna mess it up. Anyway, when we look at, and this one I got from Psalms 23. Okay, let me see what scriptures we can find this in. And then scroll down. Yeah, Psalms 23, verse 2. He maketh me lie down in green pastures. That, in my heart, I believe that's the precept for that verse to understand what does it mean that he let us lie down in green pastures. We know that green represent what? Life. It goes with spring, right? Everything being anew, everything coming back alive again, just as we're gonna be made anew and be alive again. Okay, do y'all see that? But let us get the full understanding. Why does he use pastures? Okay, so this verse says he's making me lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. Okay, so it's H499. How you would see is translated in the Bible is translated as either habitations, pastors, houses, places. For its biblical usage, it is pastor, abode, abode of shepherd, habitation, meadow. So this is going to be a place where the shepherd would be. Okay, everything coming together, right? As we look at the strong definition, it says what? A home, figuratively, a pastor, habitation, house, pastor, a pleasant place. This is getting deep, right? So we know it's a place where the shepherd dwell. It is the place that the shepherd called what? Home. Hmm. When we look at the G-Sin Nias Hebrew Chaldee Lexicon, ooh, that's a lot to say. It says here, a word altogether poetic, a seat, dwelling of men or God. So it's a dwelling place of a divine one. Do y'all hear that? A dwelling place of a divine one. Now, when we look at um letter B right here, and this is going deeper, of flocks, pastors, where the flocks lay down, remain, and rest. That's the key word, y'all. So it's a place of a divine one, or a place of a holy one, or a place of Yahuwah, where we're going to what? Rest. Rest. Do y'all see that? Do y'all see that? And it's going to give you some scriptures here. Jeremiah 25, verse 37. I think that's Amos 1 and 2. Now we're dealing with pastors of the desert. You can find it in Psalm 65:13, Jeremiah 9 and 9. But dealing with the green pastors, what we just read in Psalms 23, verse 2. So let's go to our notes. So it's a place of Yah or Holy One where we shall dwell and be at rest. Do y'all see that as what? Eternal beings. That's what it's talking about with pastors. Okay? Looking at the word H4999. Okay? My sister also says here that it is also a place where there are going to be many mansions. John chapter 14, verse 1 to 3. But when you meditate on pastor, especially green pasture, it's a place where, well, again, green is associated with spring. I need to put this in note. Green is associated with what? Spring, right? And there, things are what? Are new and have life. Okay? It also represents what? A new beginning. It's what? It's the beginning of the year, which is what? A Aviv. Let's look at the next now, which is 35:42. Okay? 35:42. Far as the Bible uses of this Greek word, which I'm not going to try to say, I think, well, I might could say that no may. So it, far as the Bible use of this word is used as, you would see it as pastor or eat with. Far as the biblical usage, you see it as pastorage, fodder, food. He shall not want the needful supplies for true life. So something that's going to what sustain you, keep you alive, right? Okay. Growth increase of evil spreading like a gangrene of ulcers of a conflagration. Excuse my tongue. That's another way it's used. Okay, so to give understand how it grow or increase, it compared to like a gangrene ulcer or that long other word. Okay, so it'll be some growth or increase, right? Okay, and it's going to sustain you or give you what you need to have life. Okay, strong definition is pastor, the act, feeding. Okay, feeding, or figuratively speaking, or spreading a grain because maybe it's going to increase, or the food passage, such as its own words that's going to mean that is such as what to eat or pastor. Because when you think about germs and stuff, especially with that flesh eating thing, that flesh eating bacteria, it increases. And as it's increasing because this is what eating the flesh. That's the best way to understand about pasturing or whatever in that way. Let me read this part. This is a part I really want to point out. In the Thayer's Greek lexicon, looking at it as he shall not want the needful supplies for true life. And it relates to what John chapter 10, verse 9. Now, in the opposite of that, that word is used for what? To show you how evil can spread like gangrene, how evil can spread like an infection. So that's where the growth increase come from. But for this particular lesson, we're going to look at number one. Number one. So he shall not want the needful supplies for true life. So that means The spirit is going to sustain you. The, the spirit is going to sustain you. Okay. We do know in heaven we're going to feast well. Okay. But what this is true, what is the ultimate message here is that, what I'm about to say, okay, this is what John 10 and 9, which I got out above. What the spiritual message is saying here, the spirit is, I had a type right today, y'all. The spirit is going to sustain you. No, sustain you or your life. Okay. Therefore, you will be eternal, just like the first Adam was. Remember this verse in Deuteronomy? You find it right quick. Deuteronomy and the Messiah. You would quote from this. And this would give you understanding why some can fast for a long time and still be alive. Because people don't understand how powerful the spirit can be. It is in Deuteronomy chapter 8, verse 2. No. I'm looking at the wrong thing. Sorry about that. I'm almost going to get there, y'all. Hold on. Oh, yeah, it is in Deuteronomy chapter 8, but I was looking at the wrong verse. Deuteronomy chapter 8, verse 3, which is the precept to Matthew chapter 4, verse 4, and to Luke chapter 4, verse 4. I'm going to read it out loud to you, for it says this in verse 3. And he humbled thee and suffered thee to hunger and fed thee with manna, what? The bread of heaven. Y'all see the spiritual connection to the physical. Now we're going to be hungry, right? And the reason why we're hungry, we have to eat to what? To live. But notice what he gave the children of Israel. He gave them what? Manna, which represent the bread of heaven, which is what? John chapter 6. Okay? The living word, which thou knewest not, neither did thy fathers know, that he might make thee know that man do not live by bread only. So we don't live by the what? The physical food. All right? But by every word that proceedeth out the mouth of YAHUAH do man live. That's how we live. Okay? And we know that word is what? Yahusha HaMashiach. And he will what? Give us life. So the living word, which is what? But manna, because most people know it's the bread of heaven. It's going to sustain you or your life. Therefore, you will be eternal, just like the first Adam was before the fall. Also want me to remind you that, let me highlight this part too, that in the heavenly realm, because the living word live in us and we're connected to them, we can also command the spirit to bring forth that was invisible to be visible. So for example, if you are hungry, the spirit can give you food. If you are homeless, the spirit can give you shelter. To understand that mystery is when you look at the Father's prayer, he said what he is the kingdom. See, most people focus on the buildings and the gold and all that. Mm-mm. The best thing to have is him because he is spirit. And anything that you want, anything that you're lacking, he can what? Instantly provide it for you out of the invisible to visible. That's what he want me to tell y'all. The spirit, which is what? The living word, and provide that that is the invisible to the visible, such as if you are hungry, he can bring or create food for you. Remember the fish and bread he fed the people. They only had a little. When they got done with it, they had what? Abundance. Do y'all see this? Same thing when they was fishing. They couldn't catch anything. But the living word told them, go out there and cast your nets. Casting the net was what? Faith with works. And when they obeyed him, see again, obedience, faith, and works. When they cast their nets, they had so much that what? It was about to break the nets, right? Do you see how deep this goes very deep. So we're gonna stop at this part today. But first, before we end, we're going back to the diagram. And what we're gonna do, what I was gonna pick up in part 5 today, we're gonna pick up in part 6. So as you see at this time, when we studied the brass of the altar, when we studied the brass altar of the burnt offerings, as you see, this is very deep. It's a deep lesson. But this is the foundation, the key to understand the other parts that the Father will have me to preach unto you or to teach unto you. And like I said in the other video, the Father is having me to perfect this key here. Okay? Because I see a lot of things in this. So he's going to have me to perfect it and to come back more unto you. And I don't remember if I mentioned the last video how to have this little square box. I make sure I put it's equal to tar. That's right. I didn't talk about the tar. I talked about the door. So when we had study about tar, we know the tar is the cross, it's the mark, it's the sign. It is that what join two things together, and it's the covenant, and it's where it's the end. So by looking at definition of tar, we know Tav is the Messiah, for he said what he is the end. He is the what? The last, the Omega. All right. So because he is the end, all right, he's bringing. Well, I'm sorry, because he is the end, he's going to put an end to the beast kingdom and bring forth his father kingdom. That's what this square is saying unto us in so many ways and letters. So I need to put that in a note about Tav. I know we talked about it before. Let me go down to the bottom. About Tav is telling us what time we really in, y'all. We know the 400 years has been fulfilled. We know we are in the end times. So Tav's what? End times now. We at that phase. We are in what? The days of Noah again. Okay? And the Messiah is coming as what? King of Kings and Lord of Lords. And he will put an end to the fourth beast kingdom, which is who? Rome, hyphen what? Edom. I saw. This is why in Revelation chapter 12, the dragon is what? Red. Letting you know that Edom, Esau has went in covenant with the beast. Just like he has given an ear to Satan, he has followed the ways of his ancient ancestors, such as Cain did that and Nimrod did that. And because we are dealing with a principality, remember now, you got to look at what Edom joined himself to. He joined himself to a principality. This is why he's called what? A hunter. For when you read the sealed book of Moses, these are the books of the northern kingdom that was given to the northern kingdom to protect for this time. And it's under the book of Mormon, not the first book. I'm talking about this another book. But in that book, it has the sealed book of Moses. And the sealed book of Moses revealed that hunter, the same title that was given to Nimrod, it actually means hunter of men. Why? Because Edom is collecting souls for Satan. He's building hell. Why do hell need souls? This is where they get their powers from the pains and the suffering of those souls in captivity. Remember, they're the opposite of heaven. Heaven, what do heaven tell us? They tell us to pray. And you see the benefit of our prayers because there's an event that's going to take place when the prayers are cast upon the earth. Okay. Also, heaven is the place of where the holding place where the righteous go now. So as you see, hell is the opposite of heaven. Hell has what? The unrighteous, and heaven has the righteous. Okay. Hell get their powers from what? Tormenting those souls. Okay. Something to think about and meditate on. Okay. So when we look at Tav, Tav is what? It is the Messiah. He is the end. And Tav from this box is telling us, we go back to the box. There's four sides. We look at the four sides. They add up to what? 400, which makes what? Tav, because Messiah is Tav. He is the end. He is the last. And this altar here, that's in shape of a perfect square, because the Messiah is what? He's upright. He comes in the righteousness of Yah. As we read in those scriptures in the beginning of the video, he judged in righteousness. He judged in truth. So the square is telling us that he will put an end to the beast kingdom that's under the reign and rule of Rome, which is what? Edom, Esau. But it goes deeper. Not only will he put into Edom, but he's going to put into their principality, Satan, because no one is a match to Satan. No one can take Satan down but him. This is deep, y'all. I just want y'all meditate on the things I have shared with you in this video, because this is really deep. You put in the note. So people can understand what this mystery in Torah is telling us. Meditate on that. And when he put it into that kingdom, then he's going to what? Enforce his father kingdom in the earth. What's done in heaven is done in earth. Remember now, they're going to have a war in heaven too. And they're going to defeat them once. And they're going to be cast down here. So think about now. All right. One more time. Take this image here and meditate. This image here of the altar with the circle inscribed in the square, and with tall placed within the circle and within the square. All of these are aligning to give us the mystery that we just learned today. This image is a key to understand direction, a key to understand time, like understand where we are in time as well, according to the prophecies. I mean, I'm just amazed, everything that together. All right, take this time to meditate on the image, and we'll get back sometime. I don't know if it'll be tomorrow, but we'll get back sometime later on this week to discuss the offering. To discuss the daily sacrifice. All right, my brothers and sisters, continue to preach that the kingdom of heaven is at hand, for it's truly at hand. And make sure the people receive salvation as written in Romans chapter 10. And baptize the people in the name of Yahusha HaMashiach, for the Lamb set the example of the water baptism and the Holy Spirit baptism. And the apostle continued to boast. Love you all, and shalom. And remember, I almost forgot to say this. Remember, if you have no one to baptize you, the Father made it easy. For the heavens and the earth and the water is a witness unto him. And they can report unto the Father, who has entered into the marriage, which is the what? Renewed covenant. And he made it easy with the Holy Spirit baptism. All you have to do is ask in the name of Yahusha HaMashiach, and our Father will give it unto you according to your what? Your heart. Now you understand what that heart is, right? Your faith and your works. And shalom.